Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of
The Goat Show.
The Goat Show. We should take this on the road, D. We could be the barbershop duet.
Duet, okay. I think we're both baritones, though, so I don't know how that would work.
I'm kind of tenor.
Nah.
So, D, last week we had an exciting guest on that I really learned a lot, and it made me think about the direction that we even take our show in and how we drive the show. And I thought about it after last week. We get to hear a lot of really cool stories when we're interviewing people and we're asking them questions. But I feel bad like interjecting and talking about some things, knowledge that we have in some of those areas, because I don't want to take away from their time.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, one thing that I thought, we're going to start doing is maybe once or twice a month, we're going to come on and we're just going to talk about specific topics that relate to goatness and what makes somebody great. And we study that. That's been our mission in life to help people, athletes, but anybody to overcome or achieve something that they're not being able to achieve today. And so that's kind of where I want to take it today a little bit is where does becoming great start, D?
Definitely starts in the mind because you have to have a desire. Which actually probably you say that kind of starts in the heart, the personal will to want to work hard, sacrifice, and really take failure, because that's going to be a part of the journey to greatness. Is definitely a lot of failure and bumps in the road. So you got to have that burning desire in you that will motivate you to continue to push through.
How do you know if you've got that or not? Even if you're an athlete or if you're a coach, you see this like, man, I got some really good kids, but they're just good kids. It's like, how do we identify those goats, those that like, I can take it further, I can do at the next level?
Well, I think it starts young and it becomes a little bit more evident when they're younger because you'll know the ones that want to go to the gym by themselves. You know the ones that want to stay after practice to get some shots up. You know the ones that want to ask a bunch of questions about how can I get better? What can I do? What here and there. You'll notice the ones that are trying things that are way above their ability just because it's fun to try something challenging.
Right.
That those X factors, very similar to ones we'll share specifically in some of the sports coming up this winter today in the show. But those are some of the biggest key identifiers, from a coach's perspective, especially in the realm of basketball. Is like when you see a kid on the court that really is trying to work on his weak hand, is really working on, coach said, do this one drill today, and I'm going to focus on that drill. And coach, look at what I can do now. Right. That's a little different. And then I said the second tier to that is as they're progressing in growth and the fun, when they get smacked in the mouth the first time, how do they handle it? Do they want to quit? Do they want to have a better situation to help them succeed? Or do they want to not say anything and just continue to pursue? Because again, that's a huge determining factor as well.
Well, and a lot of athletes do get knocked down. They get knocked down by a parent, they get knocked down by a coach, or they get knocked down by an injury or something takes them out of that ability or desire. And that's what separates, in my mind, the real athletes from the athletes that are just doing it because they want to have fun. And there is a difference. And there's nothing wrong with just wanting to play.
No, nothing wrong at all.
Yeah. But when we work
with a sport, right?
Yeah. And we work with people that want to be great also. And so that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. We got some winter sports coming up. We got some things happening, and it's kind of the beginning of the season for most winter sports, right?
Yes. Starting, I think this week is Dead Week here in Kansas. I don't necessarily know what Missouri may be, but it might be both the same kind of, at least near the same. But I know that this month for sure is going to be the kickoff of most winter sports.
Right. So it's the beginning of the season and brand new going into the season, making the teams, getting cut, all this stuff developing. What's the athlete experiencing right now?
Depends on what happened this summer, Jeff. I mean, what a lot of, I would say, eighth grade, freshman, sophomore, those eighth grade above ages, what they start to experience is, what did we do in the summer conditioning? What did we do in the summer workouts that are provided at our local high schools? When it comes to the youth younger than that, they're just excited about another season. A
Right.
lot of them don't have school cuts,
Right.
where you don't measure up, if you will. So feeling the anxiety of, socially with my friends,
Right.
or more importantly, identity sometimes. If you think about it, Jeff, this whole summer, let's say a lot of the kids were playing pickup with each other at the local rec center, even though they're on solely different club teams and maybe never saw each other one time on the court during the club season. But when they just play with each other and have fun, one of those kids that may not get recognized by the school team will be kicking some of those other kids' butts. And then how does
Right.
that affect me and what kind of a basketball player I am, that the coach, which is, because high school coaches have that power, doesn't
Right.
believe that I can do?
Right.
Some kids hang it up, even though they have
Right.
very successful careers in the summer.
Most of them do.
It's sad that we have to
It
deal
is
with that.
that. It's like the fun is gone after you get cut the first time. And our parents, our teachers, our friends don't know how to support us to be there for us, and so we give up. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
people get cut in life.
Yep.
It's, what do you do with that? How do you respond? And that's what I like to work with. That's the people that, I love people that have had tough time and struggled to make it. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Well, I definitely would like to speak into that right now, Jeff, for any person that got cut, uh, as a personal story. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I am on the slate to being what's called the 12 sport athlete, meaning you've lettered all in three sports all 4 years of your career. Track, football, and basketball were the three for me. And going into my junior year, we had an exchange of coaches. And in that exchange of coaches, I started to see, different expectations. The new coach is an ex-college coach, so he's expecting you to be around year-round workouts. We got this coming up in the summer, we got this coming in the fall, we got this in the spring, we got this during the season. You got to be there, and I'm
Right.
totally okay with that because I work hard. That wasn't a problem. But I'm also a multi-sporter, so my first sport in the summer, going into the fall, is football. So
Right.
I had a football camp, Outback football camp. I forgot where it was, but I'm from Nebraska, so Outback football camp that I had to go to, and
Uh-huh.
I'm showing out and getting offers for college football, and so I have to do these things as going into my junior and senior year. But because of me not making a workout, he just looked at me a little bit different. Didn't say anything at that time, but looked at me a little bit different. But coming that fall, we have an issue on the football field that he has no legal, or no, he has no right. He's not a coach for football. He's just
Right.
there. He's helping out,
Right.
and the altercation definitely didn't have anything to do with me and him. It was literally, I backed up so he can walk by to help the team move back up to prevent a violation. And I'm right next to my coach, ready to go in. He turns, looks at me, starts yelling at me for being past that line, even though I'm supposed to be next to coach. I walk away instead of engaging in the altercation. And since then, he marked me. And this man, Jeff, asked every player on the team, he asked every coach that was a part of the staff the previous year about me specifically, that they came to me to tell me that he asked about me. So
Right.
when I'm in the tryout office, the first thing he says to me is, you have the skills to play at this level. And I actually was going at one of our best players in the program that entire tryout on purpose because it's a new
Uh-huh.
coach. I'm thinking I can show out to get a chance to. So I'm really thinking this is an open window to go get Kessel's spot. And Kessel will tell you, I made him piss blood during that trial because I was D'ing him up so aggressively. He'll tell you that.
Right.
But this man told me, I talked to the coaches, I talked to the players, and you have the talent to play at this level. I talked to them and they want you on the team, but I don't want you on my team. He made it very specific and personal to me. So for anyone out there that's ever felt, oh, the coach doesn't like me, don't ever let that hold you back.
Right.
Let alone why he cut you, when he cut you. It's what you do with that matters. That's that burning desire we talked about.
You
And for
respond.
me, I wanted to use that as to prove him, hey, you cut the wrong guy. And
Right.
amongst that group of guys, there's probably like 3 plus me that actually played college basketball. So again, and I didn't play my junior or senior year. So think about that alone. So
Right.
for all those that do get cut out there, use that adversity as a motivation
Exactly.
and drive on, push on, because your end goal is not the end because of that person or that
Right.
situation.
It's not, you don't make a tryout. Michael Jordan didn't make a tryout. There's lots of people
Boom, there you
that
go.
didn't make a tryout. It does
Steph.
not mean it's the end. Right. So, and that kind of leads with where we're going to go today.
Yeah,
How do you get ready? You're at the beginning of the season. How do you prepare mentally? And let's be kind of specific with a couple sports that are happening now. We're going into basketball pretty well. I can give you
I
wrestling
do.
pretty well. We can talk about how do you get ready both physically and mentally for the season. What do you got to do?
Well, I think that both of us share the same thing as far as wrestling and basketball conditioning. You got to get in the right conditioning. For basketball, it's anaerobic. It's a lot of start and stops. Running miles will help you, but you need to do some sprints, you need some stops, some sprints, and some change of directions because that kind of mobility and test of your anaerobic cardiovascular ability is going to be huge for the sport of basketball.
And wrestling, you got to get that base. You got to get that down before you can do anything else. So you got to build that core anaerobic for almost any sport.
Mm-hmm. Now I'll say another one for basketball, Jeff, is, it's a lot of people, they tell you give 1,000 shots a day. Okay, well, what type of shots are you shooting? And
Right.
remember, more importantly, how are those shots finishing? Are you getting swishes? Because if it hits the rim and goes in, that's a miss. That really is a miss because it could hit the rim and bounce out. So again, if you're not hitting the rim at all and it's a swish, you know that you're making 500 swishes a day. I may have shot 1,500 shots, but I got 500 swishes. So I know I can produce that when I need it. So for the biggest piece I can share with anybody in basketball this season is you really need to know your system and know your role within it because you could be training actions and have no purpose within the system you're getting ready to play. So you're wasting time and a lot of effort, and then you're going to be discouraged because I can do this, but coach don't need that. The team doesn't
Right.
need that. They need you to do this. So being very specific to know your system and know your role within it.
Right. Exactly. And that's a little different on the wrestling side. The wrestling side, I think it comes down to preseason, beginning of the season is when you got to recall everything physically. So it's like
Okay.
there's nothing better than going out and drilling for an hour or 2 hours. Because what happens is so many people want to go out and wrestle. The season's starting to get, I want to get out there and I want to wrestle. Well, that's okay later. But at the beginning, you got to get back to the basics. You got to drill, go through all the routine, the basics. And that's the only way you're going to be ready when the season starts because you need the skills down. So it always comes back to me physically. One of my coaches told me once, he said, Jeff, I want you to learn one move from the top, one move from the bottom, and one move from on your feet and be
Okay.
able to do that move better than anybody else in the world. Those are your one moves at each spot. We want them to name that move after you.
I love it.
And he said, I want you to get so that you can go out and say, hey, Damien, I'm going to take you down with the fireman's carry. Be ready. And be able to do that. And it's kind of, if you can get that mentality, I'm going to get great at something. Basketball, defense, it's steals, it's one. There's lots of things that you can be great at, but become great at something.
And
And
take,
so,
yeah, I love that.
and
That's
how
so true.
that's going to happen is that's going to happen through practice and rote practice and becoming the best at the basics. Because once you get good at the basics, you can take it to the next level.
It's very, very, very true. Now, tell me some X factors, Jeff, when it comes down. Like, what are besides like in practice and routine? What are some X factors that wrestlers can do to help get prepared?
There's a lot of things that go into wrestling or that the body weight and where you want to be with all that kind of stuff and how you stay within a healthy range and all those kinds of things. But I think there's some things that really set, like you could do at the beginning of the year to start your season off
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And a lot of that, the first one is you got to learn how to relax. You got to have some method, some technique to be able to relax when you need to, because it gets scary when you're one-on-one in wrestling and you're facing your opponent over there. And if you let your nerves get to you, then the battle is lost.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do I control that? What do I need to do to be able to focus on winning? And part of that, one of the best things that I have learned and I teach athletes is to use visual imagery
Yes.
and positive what ifs. You know how you what if yourself to death? It's like, what if that guy's better than me? What if he's stronger than me? What if I can't hold out? What if I get pinned in the third? What if all and one of my athletes told me one time, what if you change? He said, I've been changing that to positive what ifs. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, what if I win? What if I prepared enough? What if and I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. And so it's like, how do you,
I like that positive what ifs.
in the off season, beginning of the season, you got to prepare yourself. How are you going to deal with that anxiety and the stuff that you felt in the past? And it's like right now is the time to eliminate that. And part of how you do that, and I will tell this to every single kid out there, basketball, wrestling, football, whatever. If you want to prepare for the season, list your top 5 fears and walk into those fears. And what does that mean, Damien?
Identify them.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
identify where you want to be versus them. I mean, don't
Yeah.
don't let them hold you back.
Right.
You can reshape them. You know.
So when people come into you, D, and you say, what are your biggest fears? How do you help them to address those?
Oh, we just continue to talk more and 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 more about it. We go as deep as the fear can possibly go until it's nothing.
Exactly. And so when we look at that, it's like that is how we overcome our fears, but people are afraid to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're preparing for the season, D, and you want to be really good, you going to walk into those fears or not?
I have to. And if that's the only thing that's going to hold me back, what else should I be doing?
Do you think most athletes do?
I would say on the GOAT level, yes.
Yeah.
On the GOAT level, yes.
They've learned that they have to, like you said, it's not an option. You can't be great and have that much fear and doubt and anxiety because your confidence isn't going to allow you to be great. You're not going to have any confidence because you're always worried about what ifs. What if I'm not enough? What if I lose? What if they don't like me?
Now, Jeff, now you got me thinking a little bit more deeper than all of that when you start talking about those that are GOATs and those are successful. What if I fail? Especially when they lose, what's my identity? I was a champion. Now people can't call me a champion anymore. Very similar to our beloved Chiefs, how we're feeling right now in some aspects.
Right.
That's very strong. That's very strong.
Yeah, it's huge. And so we look at that, and that's what separates the goats from the non-goats. It's like right now, look at Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
How is he handling this pressure? He's
I personally don't know, but I
he's
would like
five
to
and
think.
four. He's doing the best.
Yeah.
He's doing okay. He's not, and he's young. He has not had a lot of experience to deal with this kind of pressure. I think he's doing amazing, to be quite honest, with the way the city's response is and the way people, not all the city, most of the city still loves Patrick. No matter what, they're going to love Patrick just because who he is. His personality is, good kid. He wants to do good and he wants to play his best and he wants it for the city. I mean, I do think he's hard to hate.
Yes. Yes.
But the controversy that's coming with him is going to happen to every goat.
Yeah, because that again, that's Now that's probably a really good goat tip. That's not our goat tip. Is face your fears. Because again, as a goat, you're going to have probably the biggest fears because you have the biggest stage of performance. So if you're on the biggest stage of performance, you have to be okay with losing and losing as dark as you need to go.
Like Simone.
Yes.
I mean, she not only lost, she quit. She gave up, according to some people. And it's like she had to face that like nobody's business. And she is the GOAT. She is a champion by far. And it's like what she did took so much courage.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so.
And that's what it takes to be great. I don't know anybody else that I know personally that would have been able to stand up for herself like that and just say no. And that takes goatness.
Mm-hmm. It does.
I would have kept doing it. I would have looked like a fool and I would have done 30 flips and landed in the stands.
Yeah. Now, before you go into the GOAT tip, I do want to say one other X factor that I think is, because you already mentioned the visualization and doing the small things, but another one for me is really, how would I say it? Just had a brain fart.
I love it. I love it.
It must not have been important.
I think there's so many things that are key factors, but I think it all comes down to, are they having fun or not, D?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It comes down to people being great or not. It comes down to people riding the ride or not. It's, are you having fun? And if you're not having fun, you need to address that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dealing with anxiety and it's not fun, don't just deal and live with that anxiety. Go get help. Come to see us here at Triumph. Right, exactly. If you're struggling with not feeling like you're good enough, or your confidence is low, or you're afraid of looking stupid or embarrassing yourself, or any of those things, that's what we help with. And not trying to toot our own horn, but we're really good at what we do because we work with people that want to perform. And so I feel like we have a lot, D, to offer our clients. And what I would like to do is, if you guys are struggling, if you know anybody or an athlete that wants to be great, is struggling with performance, struggling with doubt or confidence issues, please give us a call, 816-237-1820, or reach out to Jeff or Coach D at triumphprogram.com. I so much would love to chat with you. And now the GOAT tip. This is my favorite GOAT tip of all time. Plant your corn early, folks. I'm from Iowa. I had to go there. But it actually makes so much sense.
It does.
Especially when it comes to athletes in preseason and off season. It's like, if you can prepare during the off season and preseason for the season, you're going to be ready. But too many athletes wait till, it's a season. Now I'd like to learn how to relax. Now I'd learn how to focus. Now I'd like to deal with my fears. It's like, wait, that's almost too late. You can do it, but you need to get in early to deal with your fears and your doubts and your worries and your stresses, because that's a game changer. And do you want to carry that with you? Do you want your children to not have confidence moving forward when they go into high school, and college, and wherever they go from here? It really is easier if they have confidence. Plant your corn early, folks. D, is there anything else that you would like to bring up today?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a little quick rundown on update on Mr. Ignacio. He had a phenomenal season. When I talk about taking over games in the sense of possessional defense, hitting a big shot, making a play, bringing just good energy, he is grown and grown and grown. He's got a little arm sleeve now. He's got a little swaggy hair. So yeah, he's got a little attitude. I think he got some brand new shoes too. So it's love to see
Oh,
this young goat continue to grow.
that is so cool. You know what? We may do a next week. We might show his episode again just because
Oh
it
man, we
was
should actually start the season. Get him
fun.
focused. Help him get prepared on where you want to be next. Because I think he got some goals set out there on there.
Right, exactly. We need to have him back on. Oh boy, was that fun.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can get him and a couple teammates with him.
Exactly, exactly. I think that would be fun. And we also got some new things coming up on the goat. We are going to be like I said, a couple times a month. We're going to be talking about questions that people have and issues that we are experts at and that we help athletes and kids with, both mental health and physical. So I look forward to seeing you next time. And if you want to get in touch with us, reach out. Our information again is there we go. Yes. Thanks, Julie. And we will see you all next week. And happy Veterans Day.
Yes, happy Veterans Day.